Got a little bit of feedback. Wait a minute. Are you serious? Are you serious? Welcome, everybody. You're here for a powerful broadcast. Our guest is Bob Kudla from TradeGeniusAcademy.com, and I guarantee you what you're getting ready to learn today is going to help you. People are trying to figure this thing out. The value of the dollar. Where is Bitcoin? What is gold and silver doing? What should they do about the trade war with China? How's that all going to play out? The new tax bill that just passed. What is going to be the benefit of that in the next few months? And so we're going to ask the questions. We got to know what's going on with the economy, and why is the President of the United States sending the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, to China? Is he the wizard? Is he going to fix the trade war? Anyway, our guest right now from TradeGeniusAcademy.com is Bob Kudla. Bob, great to have you with us today.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, be careful of that. I guess the Chinese proverb, may you live in interesting times, because we sure are. And yeah, the whole thing with the trade war is interesting, and also with the economy too. I don't know where you want me to go. Do you want me to go macro and kind of work my way in to tell you kind of what we're thinking is going on and what we think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think I think that's a good way. Let's start with the macro overview of a global markets, especially when the president's going to send the Treasury Secretary to China. I mean, so we got to take a look. What does that mean globally, and then how do you bring it all the way in?
Yeah, so we got to think of it this way. So we're at a point now where the world is debt saturated, number one. Number two is that the United States is debt saturated. So there's only really three ways in which you can fix a debt problem. One is that you cut services. Politicians only survive 2 years on that. Number two is that you increase inflation by devaluing your currency. That only works short term, because then every other country around the world will do it. And then you run into what happened in 2008 and 2011, where food prices become intolerable and you can't debase a currency if you have to import basic food stuff. The third, and the United States is uniquely positioned to benefit from this, and there's historical context because this happened to Great Britain during the Great Depression, is that you start squeezing the people, the countries that have the current account and the trade surpluses against you. And for us, that's pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Mexico, Canada, China, Germany, and those countries are all, what they did was, there was some sort of grand bargain after World War II where we would say, we'll push our dollar out everywhere, we'll protect the world, and we'll let you trade with us at a deficit to our own country, and we would get cheap goods, and then we would use debt spending to kind of cover it up. Well, that has played itself out, and Trump intuitively knows that he has to get GDP over a certain level in order for him to have any chance to keep the debt thing from just exploding, or to keep it under control long enough for them to go to whatever is coming next, which would bring us to the cryptocurrencies here in a minute. So the thing they're doing with China is absolutely long term, and Trump is right. It is easy to win a trade war when you can't lose it. And so all the people that are wringing their hands around, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, it's really, who cares? You ready to say something? Go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, well, I think that what you're saying is exactly right. It's easy to win a trade war when you can't go any further down. I mean, the deficit in our trade between us and China is so far off base. I mean, you can't go anywhere but better. I mean, and so he knows that, and he's going to play that to his advantage, isn't he?
Yeah, and look, and here he gets a twofer here. So he gets to bring manufacturing jobs back in the country. Those jobs are what we call heartland jobs, right? It's inside the the coastlands, and this is where all his supporters are. So he's going to shore up his base, and the people that have been profiting over the last 20 years have been, really the 5 cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? You had Seattle, San Francisco, L.A., Washington, D.C., and New York. All those cities have sprung up, and they've been used by the progressive movement really for the means and ends for the liberal elites in this country, and they've been killing the central part of the country. It's like a Hunger's Game movie come to life. Well, that's all reversing now. So Trump, the people that are squawking, Trump doesn't care about. And the people that are benefiting, I mean, look at Conway yesterday. He knows these are people these are urban Americans that are non-white that are saying, finally somebody's looking out for me. I think they said Detroit has 1,000 new manufacturing facilities going in, not Detroit, the Midwest, going in this year. And, a lot of them are in Detroit. And so Trump is in a no-lose situation. And the Chinese, they could say anything they want, the Japanese, the Koreans, the Germans. There's very little we need from any of those countries. Now, there's things we want to have. There's things we ought to have, but there's not things we have to have. On the other hand, China, anything they import from us, Paul, they absolutely require for their survival. Food, energy, raw materials. And so they're not going to cut that off because they cut that. Look what happened with soybeans. Remember when people said, soybeans, oh my gosh, our farmers, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what happened? They raised the tariffs. Next thing you know, the Chinese are spending more money on food, and South America raised the price of their soybeans that China has to buy. And we sat there and said, what happened to our soybeans? Well, guess what? Guess who bought our soybeans that the Chinese didn't? The Argentinians. So the Argentines buy our soybeans and then sell them to China at a markup.
Yeah.
So China, they have no hand. That's why I keep telling people they have no hand to play. And what's really irritating everybody is Trump's being very vocal about it because he's playing politics. He wants his people to know, I'm doing this for you. Right. So it's not ending. Steve Mnuchin's going to go over there. He's going to put lipstick on this pig. Look like we're gravely concerned and we want to work out everything. But Trump is not going to relent. He doesn't have to, and he knows it's a winner for him.
Steve Mnuchin, and he's not the wizard. They're portraying him as he's going to be some kind of wizard. He's going to go over there. He's going to do some kind of hocus pocus and do something miraculous. But he's actually just following through with the Trump agenda. Trump is using this leverage to, like you said, to regain his manufacturing base, his Rust Belt states that he won. That's what put him in the office. He's now paying them back with bringing the manufacturing jobs back to the heartland of America, and which is what he's got to do. And as he does that, it does strengthen us, doesn't it? Because we did let our manufacturing base slip away here, and that's not a smart thing to do with national security. You got to make sure you're making your own steel and you're making your own hardware. I mean, and if the Chinese are depending on us for their food, then really we're in a catbird seat in a way, aren't we?
Yeah, well, look, this is, for me, the internationalists, the progressives, whatever you want to call these people, they do not want an independent and strong America. They've always envisioned America as integrated into their grand designs. I always tell people, look, we've been Europe's mercenaries. We subsidized Europe forever, and then we started subsidizing Asia, and then China, and so they didn't want us to have a manufacturing bit. Look, like World War II. We geared that thing up in 4 years. We blew everybody off the map. If they said, look, if America's hobbled, then they have to negotiate. We have to have tri-party, and we have to do this, we have to do that. And so they don't want us to be alone. Look, we stand alone. I guarantee you one thing, Paul. If we get this thing worked out, Mexico and China are going to fall right into place, and that North American bloc is going to be the dominant bloc in the world. And so Trump has this thing. He has this thing wired, and the internationals. That's what people are crying. The people that run the media, they're crying about this. Look, Bezos doesn't want this. He gets cheap crap from from China to sell into us. And you saw the thing. He pays his people $28,000 a year. Here's the biggest progressive in the country, the richest man in the world, and he pays his people poorly. And, and Trump gets blasted about being some sort of rich, evil capitalist. Well, here you go, and so none of them like it because they're free ride. What we call it's called leverage. What they leverage, Paul, they leverage cheap labor in China to create gross profits for themselves.
Right.
And look, I'm a capitalist. I own 3 companies. You have to make a profit. But the point is, at some point, it's just immoral, what they've done. Hey, look, you know what? If you have a great product and you can charge a lot for it and you can make some great money, super. But if you're ripping out whole cities just so you can go from $90 billion to $95 billion in net worth, really? And, and then that weakens the entire country and the structure of our country. And I think that's all being reversed now, Paul. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be painful, but it's going to be extremely exciting times if you're a person of production, a person of effort. You're an ant and not a grasshopper.
Folks, this is Bob Kudla with us. Bob Kudla, and he, of course, with TradeGeniusAcademy.com. And, you're right. President Trump is saying, look, let's do the right thing for America. And the right thing for America is a strong America, a strong middle class, a strong America from top to bottom. Let everybody participate. Don't take away, don't go into West Virginia and say, I'm shutting down the coal mines. I mean, don't make such statements like you're just going to completely wipe out entire industries and just and look at the voters of West Virginia and say they don't matter. And what Trump did was brilliant, really, in the campaign. And that was who's hurting. We've got to re-strengthen it. So not only so he could win the election, but mainly to strengthen America. And it's good for business. It's good for his business and everybody else's. Now, having said all that, Bob, we know Mnuchin's, he's going to do his thing in China. We'll see what comes out of all that. He's just going to play. He's singing the same song. But what's going to happen now with Bitcoin and gold and silver? Let's talk Bitcoin first, because it was at one point almost $20,000. Now it's, I think, at $8,900 and almost $9,000. So where do you see Bitcoin, or how do you see Bitcoin working in this volatile market?
Yeah, so first of all, you have to realize Bitcoin has always been volatile. It's just that most people didn't really wake up to Bitcoin until it crossed over $10,000 last December. So, if you look back the last 5 years, every year it's had corrections of 60 to 80%. So as it's growing, that volatility will slowly come out of the price. You have to realize watching Bitcoin is like buying and investing in a company before it goes public. Most people don't see the sausage of a private company, and I work for a private startup. One day you're doing great, next day, am I going to survive, kind of a thing, until you slowly start growing, and then when you go public, things get a little bit more calm. That's what the cryptocurrency market's going through right now. Now, it had a big run up, and part of that big run up last year from basically 8,000 to 20,000 was people buying ahead of the futures markets opening. When those opened in December, you got to push right back down to 6,000, and then everybody said Bitcoin is dead. Well, at the end of March, and it's interesting because also gold bottomed this year too, is that you started seeing it push back up, and in fact, we're up 25%, Paul, from the lows in March. And when we say the next bull leg is started, and the reason why we say that is that the people that wanted to buy in, they bought in. The people who want to sell after that have sold. And now institutional money is coming into the cryptocurrency space. You start seeing all the big banks now are opening up trading desks. You're starting to see people like, and I hate to say his name, but Soros, but he has a lot of money, starting to invest in cryptocurrencies. The Central Bank of St. Louis just last week said their cryptocurrencies is here to stay. In fact, it's going to be a better vehicle than fiat currency for their own reasons. So it's here, it's here to stay, and Bitcoin is the leader, and you're going to start seeing it push up, especially now that people are recognizing the fact is that the growth, what we call the nominal growth in the economies, is pretty much over. And this push up in interest rates is not going to last that long either, Paul, because the debt levels won't allow it. it'll cause like a 2008 collapse, and they're going to manage that out. When they manage that out, Paul, that's when the cryptocurrencies and gold and silver are going to rocket. And so you're going to see both of them move, and they're going to move in tandem. When you see them moving in tandem, then you know that behind the scenes, the big money now and the central banks and the sovereign countries are now all debasing in unison to try to show an illusion of growth again. But this time people get to hop out of the banking system and get to hop onto what we call these alternative assets that are not bank dependent. And so that's where we see it. And we see it moving from here. Look, just last week we had a $1,000 move. Just a couple days ago, it jumped from 8,000 to 9,400, pulled back a little bit today. And just, for a second, if I could just do a plug for myself and our company, is that, we have software. We don't worry about it because we watch the money flow. And as money comes into into these cryptocurrencies, our algorithms tell us to buy and suggest a buy point and suggest a sell point if it gets pushed up. And just last week, we had a buy on it at 8,000. It moved up to 9,400. It started slipping down a little bit yesterday. We had a sell signal on it. So people that are trading it hopped off and they saved themselves $400, 5% move down. The same with Litecoin. We follow all the coins, but we have, our service, follows the top 10 for sure. And so, we're really close to this, Paul, and we definitely see money coming back into short-term, medium-term, and long-term back into the crypto space.
So folks, so you're looking at this thing, Bob, and you can see this, that when you said George Soros is a big player in Bitcoin, I mean, I don't want to say his name either. I mean, it just drives me insane that he funds all these left-wing leaning liberal protesting and all that. But if he's putting in significant amount of money into Bitcoin, does that sounds like that puts some legitimacy into Bitcoin or some staying power? Who's the biggest player? Is he one of the biggest players in Bitcoin now?
Well, it's hard to say because people can hide behind what they call their private keys, but I mean, we're just taking it from what he says, and you got to realize he likes to short currencies. So for him to be buying the cryptocurrencies, that means he's expecting a lot of these currencies to start falling in value. No, I would say he's a major player, but the big players are going to be the major banks, though, Paul, and the major hedge funds. So they're the one. And you got to realize, the cryptocurrency space is less than 0.5% of all the assets in the entire world. So when people call it a bubble, you can't have a bubble when you're 1/2%. And it's an emerging class. So it's going to really skyrocket. And you got to realize, too, only like 9 to 10% of the coins are even traded. So if you start getting a push into the cryptocurrency space again, you'll see Bitcoin over 20,000, be 25,000 this year. You'll see Litecoin at 450. You'll see Ethereum probably over 1,000, and some of these other smaller coins will be up, 400, 500, 600%. Depending on when they get discovered for a day or two. And so so that's kind of our view on it, is that it's ready to go. It's a class that doesn't require banks. It's non-parasitic and is very transparent. And look, Deutsche Bank is in trouble, Paul. And if a big bank falls like Deutsche Bank, cryptos and gold are going to go through the roof. And people need to be prepared now. You need to start buying now. You can't buy afterwards. You'll wake up one day and you'll wonder why Bitcoin's up $5,000. You want to already be taking positions in it today. If you're wrong and it doesn't do anything, hey, then you hop off. But if you're right, you're going to be really, really, really right. This thing's not going to zero at all.
This is huge information you just said, and that is, you see this thing, you see Bitcoin maybe going to 20,000, maybe 25,000 before this year is over. That was a huge statement, and I'm sure there's many people watching right now considering that. I mean, I've talked to real estate agents, Bob, and they're saying that they see a little bit of a bubble coming. It's already beginning in the East Coast. Some of the realtors are saying. So if that's the case, people are going to be shifting where they want their assets. Is it in their home? Is it in real estate? Or do they want to put it, in the stock market or in Bitcoin or precious metals? You're having a spring special. folks at TradeGeniusAcademy.com. And they're great supporters of our ministry here, and we just praise God for that. But Bob's having a spring special, a 1-year annual subscription to his advanced cryptocurrency, binary options, buy and sell signal service. So this gives you access to what he sees, and you can get this if you sign up for a 1-year subscription. You get this access free. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Bob?
Yeah, so once you sign up for that special, there is an additional a service that we're actually starting next week. It's part of our algorithm, but we haven't released it to the public. Is that a lot of people can't follow all of the coins all of the time, and so they we provide software and we provide signals on some of the best setups. This way, the top 10 coins, we'd be able to send it automatically from our algorithm, from our computer, right to your phone via email. And this has been the number one requested service that we've been asked since we started the company. And we're releasing it May 1st. And it's going to be a separate product. It'll be a separate charge. But for those who buy that special, which is already discounted at 50%, for your listeners, we will allow them to actually get this, what we call the Cryptocurrency Express service, is that the Signal Express. You'll be able to get that as part of the service for a year. And if you've already signed up for our service in the past, you can renew and add a year to your service, and you'll be able to get that as part of your renewal. So it's huge. And we have the cryptos and the binary options together. And like I said, you can make more money trading cryptocurrencies in a month than you can in a year in the stock market. And that's saying something because I'm a stock guy, and that loves cryptos. But it's just the fact. It's what's moving now. It's early, and very few times in people's lives are you going to be able to make this much money in this short order. And if you follow our signals, we would have kept you out of most of the downdraft from December into March, and we would have had you in, from March 3 or 4 times now, and being able to pick up some really nice gains, and just following the signals. You make money when it's going up, you hop off. When it starts to consolidate, you hop back on again. And we let the computer do all the work and provide the suggestions to us, and those go out to our subscribers. And you'll worry-free, trading, because we let the computer do all the work for us, unemotional. And it just sees the money coming in, and it sees the money going out, and it alerts us, and then we alert you.
Also, Bob, I've got a question for you is, we got this North Korea thing, and there's no question Trump has done a masterful job to get the North Korean dictator to the table. He's already sitting down meeting with Mike Pompeo. He's already getting ready to meet with South Korean President Moon. They might be going to end the Korean War, and Trump may be able to get this guy to at least denuclearize, maybe not completely throw his nukes all the way away, but, this has been masterful. Now, the question is, did Trump have to do that? What will be the impact economically if North Korea ends the war with South Korea and lays down their nukes? What does this mean globally as far as the economy, if it's less of a threat, and we still got Russia out there and some of the things going on in the Middle East, but still, what impact do you see with this?
Well, number one, it takes us from having the potential to fight a 2-front war into fighting potentially a 1-front war. At one point we had a 3-front war going, Paul. We'll call it cold. We had the Korean, we had Middle East, and we're defending Europe from Russia. Well, this takes Korea off the map, so it strengthens us militarily. Number one, number two is it puts Iran on notice that we'll do what we say we'll need to do to bring everybody kind of in a line of being a normal nation, and then we put a lot more attention and pressure on Russia to play nice in the neighborhood. And so I think it's a win-win-win. And it's also a win for China. And it's actually a win for the North Korean leader, look, this guy grew up in Switzerland. This guy didn't grow up in North Korea. Okay, so he went to private Swiss. He has friends that are not Korean. He knows exactly how the world works, and he wants that stuff.
Yeah.
And there's different kind of egomaniacs. His father and his grandfather are the ones that took all the credit for, being godlike in North Korea. This guy may say, "Hey, look, I brought you out of poverty. Love me forever."
Right.
We don't know what's going through this guy's mind. Number one. Number two is that his shtick is ending. The world is getting too small, and information is too easy to come into the country, for him to keep up this facade any longer. And then, with Trump putting pressure on China, he's doing carrot and stick with China. The carrot is hey, look, we fixed China. I don't need my troops in Korea anymore. I'll back off.
Right.
Oh, by the way, you have 25 million more consumers you could sell to.
Right.
And then we get a good guy, in the world, right? The world looks at us and like, wow, Trump isn't a warmonger. Wow, Trump solved Syria. Wow, Trump solved Korea. So there's win-win-wins all the way around here, and I think China gets it. Look, China's probably tired of it too. I think everybody's tired of it. I think the story's old now, and I think it's great. And I think the big problem. Forget Russia. Russia's not a problem. I think the big problem is Iran. Because as you and I both know, being Christian people and people who really study prophecy, these people study their prophecy,
right?
And they're not dissuaded by. The Sunnis aren't going to do anything. They're not going to blow up the gold mine for the bag of gold. So they're not going to be dropping nukes everywhere.
No.
A true believing Shia absolutely would have no problem dropping nukes everywhere.
Right.
That's going to bring the Mahdi back.
Yep.
So, in their eyes. And so, that's a threat in that sense. Not the Persians. I mean, I live in California. There's 1 million people from Iran that live in this area. Wonderful, beautiful people. And, and I'm sure 99% of the people in Iran are of the same. But these people that are in charge and the true believers that are part of that cadre, look, they have such a hatred and it's such a desire to end the world that, world's going to have to do something about them, or they're going to definitely cause some great harm to the global community.
Bob, that's a great point. The Shiite Muslims, which is really the Ayatollah Ali Khomeini and his regime, they've hijacked Iran. When Iran was under the Shah of Iran and when they were more of a liberal Muslim nation, things was flowing pretty well for them. But now all of a sudden you've got this radical Shiite group in charge, and they're trying to mandate a religion, a radical apocalyptic religion that says you have to wipe out Israel and you have to drop bombs and nukes. And if they don't create enough chaos, then the Mahdi won't come, the Muslim Messiah. And the Sunnis over in Saudi Arabia and all the rest of the Sunnis in the Muslim monarchies that are around the Middle East, they're all saying, you guys are crazy. And yet we've not had a president. We really haven't had a world leader step up and call Iran out for what they are. And I think Trump is saying, I'm going to fix North Korea, and that's going to help me fix China. And then I'm going to deal with these Iranians. He's already sending a message. He's coming for them next. He's going to bring them to the table or break them down. And some people say, oh, my Lord, don't do that. The media, I'm so sick and tired, Bob, of the media whining and crying about real leadership. We got an adult in the White House for once, and it's time to deal with these things. And overall, don't you think it helps the economy at the end of the day? And us Christians, I feel better.
Absolutely, for sure. I think, first thing Trump did was, I think the Sunnis in Saudi Arabia have come to the conclusion, without America, they don't want to face Iran alone or Iran with Russia alone. And so, Trump had great bargaining power on them. And you're starting to see a bit of a rapprochement with the Israelis with from the Saudi side and, Egypt. And look, Israel's been really quiet. Yeah. The Saudis have just shut that whole thing down. And, now we're sitting there in Syria. So Hezbollah they have to start thinking, hey, I just can't go off. I got the Americans flying over my country every single day, you know, it'd be nothing for them to turn some bombs loose on us. You know, we fear the Israelis, but the United States can pretty much just put us back into the Stone Age in an hour. And so it's really, the chess pieces are moving here, and it's just amazing to me. But, Paul, I'm not surprised by the media. Look, the media does not want a strong America. They want a multipolar world where America has to, you know, negotiate and give up. That was the whole climate change garbage, you know, and that had nothing to do with climate change. It had everything to do with politics. And
right.
So, you know, and now you see this last week, just they announced today, that some reports that came out last week that even if there is climate change, the effects are going to be less than half of what we originally thought. So you know, I mean, Trump's winning so much, his head probably hurts.
But it doesn't. You wouldn't know it by the mainstream, lamestream, fake news media, Bob, that he's winning. It's all about, you know, and just always nitpicking every appointee he chooses. Trump's deranged. They portray him as a guy sitting in his bed till noon eating Doritos. You know, they can't. This guy is so far ahead of them that they think they're in first place. He's almost ready to lap them, and it's amazing to me. I think the American people, though, are smart enough to see through this all. At the end of the day, the storm is going to go by. The Stormy Daniels things are going to pass. All this stuff's going to wash out. And at the end of the day, I think America is on its way to maybe being great again. Let's hope anyway. Bob?
Yeah, I mean, look, Main Street up is going to be just fine if you can keep pushing through. The stock market is not Main Street, so, you know, you may see some turbulence. People are moving out of the social media stocks, the FANG stocks, and so you're going to see that, you know, push the market down for some time until people start buying other things. So people get confused, you know, because when the stock market was going up, people are saying, hey, things aren't good in Main Street. Why is the stock market going up? Well, you know, when you fix Main Street, the stock market isn't as profitable, and you'll start seeing the stock market go down. You know, so I just want to tell people you have to kind of separate the two. Yep. You know, if you're getting a better job or you're making more money. They said in Philadelphia, I guess the wage reports are skyrocketing back east in terms of wages growing. Yep. You know, and, you know, we're having shortages everywhere. You look out here in California, I think we're short like 50,000 teachers going into the next decade. And same with nurses and doctors. And so, you know, there's jobs out there, and you know, this focus on, you know, this social media, Starbucks, you know, the Cerveza lifestyle, you know, that whole thing's going to go away, and we're going to go back to, you know, bread and butter America. And with all this new technology coming, it's, you know, it's an exciting time to be alive.
Amen. Amen. Folks, this is it's amazing. As I've always said this, and Bob, I'm so glad you confirmed that. Main Street and Wall Street, two different animals. I mean, when Main Street's thriving, Wall Street kind of comes down a little bit. Boy, you got to have Main Street doing well. You got to. That's the bread and butter. That's where the people are living. That's the paycheck to paycheck. That's where the families are. And so I'm so glad to see this is working in that direction. Bob, I tell you what, this has been a fascinating interview. I mean, we really covered the gamut. Again, TradeGeniusAcademy.com, and he's got this spring special. It's good till the midnight, April 30th. If you're thinking about getting involved with and getting some extra help here and understanding, some of you got 401ks out there, you don't know what to do, you're getting ready to retire, or you did retire, and you're saying, what do I do with this? I don't know what to do. Go see Bob, okay? Go to TradeGenius.com, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Go there and let Bob help you through this. Bob, again, use the promo code Begley. Use the promo Begley. Let them know Pastor Begley told you about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do stocks and crypto, so don't be dissuaded one way or the other. And just tremendous opportunities. We're kind of helping people through this chop right now that's going on with the market. But, you know, every day we can help you make money. And so we'd love for you to join us. Thank you for your time today, Paul.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. We really appreciate it. And thank you for being a great partners with us. All right, folks. We'll see you next time with another exciting broadcast right here on the coming apocalypse.